So if you're a cruiser player and you haven't really tried battleships yet, I would recommend you play Republic, or at least try to get to the Republic. This ship feels the most like a cruiser out of all the battleships in the game, in my opinion. It's combination of reload, decent speed, pretty good accuracy, make it feel a lot like a cruiser, especially the armor too. You have a lot of HP, but you don't have very good armor, so you definitely don't want to be on the pushing flank like we are here. So we probably need to turn around and go deal with the other flank eventually, but may as well help out here a little bit on softening up maybe a Montana or something like that. But I really do think the Republic is the cruiser player's battleship. Not a lot of other battleships in the game can get this reload. You have an 21.4 second reload? I actually don't know, but it's under 22 second reload on guns that overmatch 30 millimeters. They're pretty impressive. And the reason I don't play this ship a ton is because I usually like a ship that can push. Not to say the ship that can't push, but early game, you definitely have to play it safe like this. So you'll see I'm kiting away from this guy. I'm not pushing in because it's highly likely they have destroyers around here. We don't really have a destroyer, so I don't want to be eating torpedoes, high explosive, getting lit on fire, all that stuff. That's a great way to die very, very, very quickly. Republic also has pretty solid anti-aircraft and is decently survivable against a CV because you have an okay torpedo belt and you don't really get citadeled by AP bombers, which is quite nice. Here I switched to HE. The HE is not bad on this ship at all if you can get fires. I'm pretty unlucky I didn't get a fire there. Something to look out for these days, now that the new patch is hit, I think the little flashing lights on your ship are an incredibly cool addition. You can see them flashing on my ship right now. It means I'm using my damage control. And I saw this Montana use his damage control, and that's why I swapped to high explosive. I wanted to get some permanent fires on him. I noticed that. So a really cool change there to allow good players and people aware of the new changes, the new mechanics, to take advantage of that to get even more damage and be even more efficient. So something to look out for is these sparks are when somebody's healing. The flashing lights, the white lights on the side of the ship are the damage control going off. And that's a really key one to look out for on enemy ships, because it is really important to light people on fire after they use their damage control. Even better than sometimes getting a citadel. Honestly, a permanent fire on a tier 10 battleship is worth about as much as a citadel in raw damage. Obviously, they can heal back a fire easier than they can heal back a citadel, but you get multiple fires, that's multiple citadels, right? It's really a really good damage. Fires are incredibly strong in this game, so you should definitely be going for those. Republic is a ship that can do that. It's not quite as good as Conqueror, but the reload really makes this ship play a lot like that. It can do that cruiser role if you're finding a lot of bow-in battleships, that kind of thing. It doesn't like to play frontline, though. And that's why I'm letting my team kind of go in first with their German battleships. Yeah, the armor's not great. You get slapped around pretty good through the superstructure with AP. For whatever reason, the Republic has amazing broadside armor against armor piercing. So if you just sit broadside to most armor piercing, you're not going to take that much damage. That's because there's a lot of spaced armor. It does have a turtleback. The turtleback doesn't really work as a German turtleback, like bouncing shells up out of the citadel. But it does function well as a bunch of layers of spaced armor. And that's why you get a lot of torpedo protection hits or shatters on a broadside Republic, Alsace, Richelieu even. Because of all this spaced armor, your shell will penetrate one or two layers of the armor, but it won't get through the third or fourth, that kind of thing. And you'll be stuck with no damage out of that because it didn't get to the part of the ship that has HP. So even though you are somewhat of a squishy battleship, you're not too bad against AP. The 32 millimeters of armor everywhere definitely struggles against high explosive, and that's why you're going to see me oftentimes play pretty far away from cruisers. It doesn't like to take high explosive. So I'm really trying to not get into situations where I'll be taking huge high explosive hits. That's a really quick way to get your Republic killed. Yeah, double fire just like that. I think that was from the Buffalo even. It doesn't like HE. And here's the lights in a little bit closer view. You can see that. Some people on the stream wanted to see a little closer. And you can actually see that all the way across the map on ships. I'll be looking for that in a little bit. Somebody was wondering if you could see it across the map, and you definitely can. They're bright enough and distinct enough that you can actually see when somebody uses their repair, which is really cool. I think that's a great change to the game. Adds an extra layer of skill, something to look out for good players. Very cool. Very, very cool change. You can see bunch of AP just came into our broadside, and we took, what, 10,000 damage? That's, which is it's decent damage, but it's not Citadels, which you might expect to be getting against some other broadside battleships. So a really cool part about the Repub is that ability. You can notice my positioning. I repositioned away from our pushing flank, and that's because I wanted to get these cross shots. I don't aim particularly well in this game. I don't know why. I think I was tired or just starting out or something like that. But even in a game where I don't aim particularly well, you can do really good damage because of this reload. The reload on the Republic really does carry this ship through. You're shooting pretty much twice as often as a Vermont with the same level of overmatch. With 8 guns instead of 12. So the damage output is really, 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 really strong on this ship. I think... yeah, if you're someone who really doesn't like the slow playstyle of battleships, this is definitely a good ship to play, because you're pretty much always shooting if you want to be. You got the range to shoot all the time. You got the shell velocity to pretty reliably hit targets at long range. If you're someone who's not as good at leading battleship shells, like at North Carolina, let's say, the shell velocity can definitely do it. And you can see on this curve first, the flashing lights. He used his damage control. So if you really wanted to get optimal about it, I would switch to high explosive here. But I think my AP salvo is going to do a good chunk, and then my team will be able to finish him off. But those flashing lights, look out for them, and then load HE and start spamming that on a ship. You can see the lights are out, and he takes a fire. And that fire will be a permanent fire. That'll tick for the full duration, and that's not quite enough to kill him since he has a heal, but... with our 16k salvo, he's definitely dead to that fire, or somebody else's shots. But with Republic, you see my positioning is centralized, but I usually don't play centralized. The only reason I am playing the center here is because my team majority of my team is on the 9-10 line. And the enemies are going to likely be angling to those people, and I don't want to be shooting at angled ships. Something you may have noticed about this ship already is the horrible horizontal dispersion, but the really, really, really good vertical dispersion. Every salvo looks kind of like a flat disc from Repub, and that's the way this dispersion works. And it makes this ship very, very dangerous against broadside ships, and pretty weak against angled ships. A lot of times the shells will splash on either side of a ship that's angled, but you're not going to be struggling with that poor vertical dispersion like a Yamato or something like that when you're facing a broadside target. It's very rare that you bracket a ship when they're broadside. Like the shells go low and the shells go high. That's very rare out of this ship. Not that this ship has amazing dispersion. I really find this ship to be quite inconsistent with dispersion, but that's okay, because you fire so quickly. This ship puts out so many shells that it really doesn't matter. You can see I haven't had really that many meaty salvos this game. Nothing really that amazing. But we're still on 150k, We have 87, 88 shell hits already out of a battleship. Right? Like, that is not usual battleship numbers for shell hits in my mind. So it's a pretty good ship if you're someone who likes the cruiser playstyle in my mind. I really do think that this is a good battleship, but not the most accurate or pushing battleship you could take. The reason I'm able to push here is because they have very few people left. I tried to save my high HP as much as possible for the late game. That's when you can push in a Republic. You're not tanky because of your armor, you're tanky because of your HP pool at the end. So having the enemy team having to deal with a 55,000 HP Republic that's shooting them every 20 seconds or less now because of AR, that's a pretty dangerous ship to be dealing with near the end of the game. So that's something you want to be doing. You want to be playing like a cruiser for the whole start of the game. And then once the late game comes in like this, and you have the opportunity to win the game for your team, that's when you can really push in. If you're wondering about the weird torpedo trails, that's a mod that I have. I found the new updated torpedoes to be really difficult to see, just the angle of where they were coming from. I don't know why they changed the trails to be so faint, but yeah, I just put a mod to make them extremely big. I'll try and find a better mod that's a little bit more subtle than that one, but for now it definitely helps to see where torps are coming from and help you dodge them. Now, this Otland probably has, one more torpedo strike before I get to him, and that's okay, because I can definitely tank... I could tank a full set of Otland torps, but we don't need to, because we'll take, 3 on the nose. They'll saturate. It's totally fine. And now we'll just run this guy down. So we do get a little bit lucky that this guy stuck around, honestly. If he would have run off the map, I think this game would have been a lot harder to win. But he basically gifted us a free kill, which was pretty nice of him. In these kind of situations, I am trying to kill the Monarch here. I think my Nevsky and my secondaries are more than enough to kill the Otland. So I'm trying to kill the Monarch to keep my Nevsky friend alive. He's pushed in with me. You noticed earlier he kind of led the charge-ish around this corner. I noticed that he was interested in pushing around the corner from C cap to the B cap, and I decided to go with him. So definitely something you can do is push with your teammates, but you never want to be the first guy in or the one pushing alone in a Republic. That's a really, really great way to die early on. And if you die too early, you can't make good use out of the DPM that the Republic can put out. And that's the really scary thing about this ship, is its damage per minute is just gigantic. It's also very difficult for a battleship to citadel you close range, just as another thought that I had real quick there. I'll show you in port when we look at the captain I'm running, how to citadel this thing. You basically have to aim under the turrets, or at a little triangle cheek point that is opened up by the turtleback. Allows you to cheek this ship, just barely. It's a very small and difficult thing to hit, but it's definitely doable. If you're looking for an example of citadeling a Republic, you can go and check out my Flounder video, the review part of it. There's a point where I brawl a Republic at close range, and I think I get 4 citadels on him. So it's definitely a ship you can citadel. It's just very difficult to citadel. Yeah, so that's kind of the Republic. It's a good ship. I don't play it particularly often because of the kind of wonky dispersion, but it is a very, very strong ship, and I can't deny that. And I think a lot of cruiser players really, really like this one. Now, I want to talk about the mindset of the ending of this game. There's 3 minutes left, and we're ahead on points, on caps, and kills. But it's an Azashio, which is actually scarier than a Shimakaze, in my mind, when you're a Battleship player. Because the torps are basically impossible to dodge. and he could put out pretty much as many as the Shima can. So a very scary ship, even though it's a tier 8, to face at the end as 2 battleships. So I was trying to blind fire him. I got a decent chunk into him after he went dark, so the HP pool of the Izashio is a couple of overpens lower than that says. But it's important I get the cap here, and that I don't back out and die to torpedoes that the Izashio probably launched through that gap. So what's the Izashio likely to do? He's likely to go for the C cap. He knows I'm relatively close by in the B cap, and if he pops out around that corner, I'm probably just going to kill him with my guns because his detection range is 5.4 kilometers? 5.5? Somewhere in there. So he's not going to come for B in my mind. I don't think he's coming for B. I think he's going for C. And there he is. And by going this close to this island here, I'm trying to detect him. I was trying to get within 5 kilometers. And unfortunately we're not. So I'm just going to blind fire as soon as I get spotted. I know about the angle that the destroyer has to be when I get spotted around that island. We don't hit him. It's a very unlikely shot to hit. But I'm going to try again, knowing that he's outside of that 5-kilometer window. I'm guessing he's in the 6-ish kilometers away from me, near the middle of the cap. Don't hit him again, that's fine. But we know he's in that area of the cap because I'm still lit. You can see the angle getting sharper and sharper and sharper. And when I get unlit, we're going to know exactly what line the Izashio is at. From my ship. There, I get unlit. We know the Izashio's somewhere right in there. All these little islands are great to use, plus your detection. They can really pinpoint where an enemy ship is. So we know the enemy Izashio is actually towards the bottom right corner of the sea cap. This is really, really, really important information. It means he's unlikely to get around us on the left side of the screen, or the right-hand side of my ship, I guess, since we're facing away from the sea cap. But that gap to the left on the screen there that you see, he's unlikely to get there. There's only 50 seconds left in the game. So if he wants to win this game, he basically has to YOLO rush. Our Thunderer decides to run away, which is a great decision, and it basically ensures we win the game. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to wait and see if this guy's going to try and take the B cap. The game's already in hand. I could just run away. But if the game had maybe 2 minutes left on it, which is entirely possible in a situation like this, playing next to this island is actually very smart. Because the Izashio's fastest way into the B cap is to come through this mid gap here on the right-hand side of your screen. And my detection, or his detection, should get him lit the instant he pops through that island, and I should just be able to shoot him. Now I'm turning my back gun to look at the gap to my left there, and then I turned my other gun, my front gun, was still facing that mid gap. So definitely an interesting way to play out the end game. And those end game scenarios are always the most fun and skill intensive and positioning intensive moments of a game. And I really do enjoy them. So the commander I'm running on the Republic is a pretty basic one, honestly. I'm running Gunfeeder because you can switch to HE and play that cruiser role a little bit more. I am running AA Gunner. The AA is pretty good on here, but I don't know if this is necessarily worth it. I think probably taking Vigilance or Grease the Gears, or even Priority Target, if you're someone who really likes having Priority Target, could be a better way to go about things. Adrenaline Rush, I'm using I don't even know what the designation of this commander is, but a slightly upgraded commander gives me slightly better Adrenaline Rush. The next skill is definitely going to be Basics of Survivability. Secondaries are useless. They won't hit anything. So there's no point in taking long-range secondaries or improved secondary battery aiming, especially on the French ships. They're really not good since they've been nerfed in the 10.0 update. So that'll be the full captain with the 2 3-pointer skills. I'd probably go, if I was to respec this entirely, I would probably go with Grease the Gears or Vigilance, if you're wondering. And we're doing Deadeye because it's in the game still, and it's a very, very, very good skill. Kind of sad to see it go. If you wonder why, check out the previous video on the channel. Concealment Expert, because it pairs really well with Deadeye. And I am taking emergency repair expert, but I think fire prevention's probably better. I take this so that I have extra health in the late game, in those final pushes, in those final carry job kind of games. And last game wasn't really too much of a carry game. We kind of had it in the bag pretty well. But still, there's games where that extra heal can definitely mean a lot to give you that extra health to win the game. But there's an argument to be made that fire prevention would save you that health anyway earlier on. I don't think I took a ton of fire damage that last game, so the debate is definitely there between these two. It's totally up to you. I think they're both really, really, really solid skills to take. And obviously, once Deadeye is gone, you're gonna take both of them. that'll be the commander once Deadeye is gone. So, looking at the upgrades, I don't think the unique upgrade is very good. It puts your range down to 19 kilometers instead of 26, and you only get a second and a half better reload, something like that. Which you're already at 21.1, which is fine enough. I think you want the extra range, especially in the current campy meta. Concealment is very much mandatory for a cruiser style of ship. 14.1 kilometers is okay detection. I run propulsion mod. It pairs well with speed boost, allowing you to sit and kind of speed dodge shells, which you saw me doing a lot of, just sitting still, going forward and backward. Aiming systems, because you need to have better accuracy on these guns with their kind of wonky dispersion. Engine boost, nice to have this last a little bit longer. And main armaments, so your main guns don't get knocked out, because if you get one of your turrets knocked out, that is 50% of your firepower. So you do definitely want to keep those alive. Now, talking about the areas to Citadel, you have to aim, if they're flat broadside, I like to aim right in here. I think right under the front turret is the most consistent way to Citadel this thing when it's broadside at close range. And for whatever reason, it is this area of the Citadel. It's in front of this line, and you'll notice that's back here as well. So if you can only reach the back part, that's definitely doable as well. For whatever reason, I have horrible luck citadeling this ship in the middle. It's only up here at the front, and when you pull back the armor, I don't really know why. Maybe it's because it hits this barbette? Maybe? I don't know. But I don't know how it works exactly. I'll be honest, guys, but I have the best luck hitting in up here. From the front, I'll talk a little bit about that. You can see this little triangle. And this is an interesting spot to hit for a Citadel. You'll notice at around a 30-degree angle, it's kind of opened up, as well as this front of the Citadel. 370 millimeters, it's a decent amount of armor, but a lot of tier 10 battleships can get through that. So the moment you aren't auto bouncing off of this 32 millimeter plate, or if you're a Yamato class ship, you can just punch right through this. You can definitely Citadel Republics through like this. And again, you can check out the Flandre video, where I think later on in the video somewhere, I'm brawling a Republic and I nuke him right through here. So not entirely safe when broadside, but it's reasonably safe when broadside on, especially at longer ranges from Citadels. But you can see the 32 millimeters everywhere, the giant superstructure. You definitely die to high explosive very quickly. But that's okay, because you're playing it more like a cruiser, not a pushing battleship. Anyways, that's the Republic. Definitely give the ship a shot if you're a cruiser main. I think you'd probably like it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.